Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. I'm so happy that everyone is here and hope you had a beautiful start of the year. And I'm really excited to be with Diana here today, Diana Westley, who you met before in previous episodes. And we're going to talk about the upcoming astrological year of 2022. And we're very excited to be sharing as well online ceremony and online meditation ritual next week on Monday the 17th for the full moon in Cancer, and also tuning into the shift of the North and South node into Taurus and Scorpio. So if you want to join live or get the recorded version, you can click the link in the show notes or visit us on Instagram and check out the information there, or visit mine or Diana's website, and you can read more. And we have early bird tickets until this Friday, so you can get your discounted ticket until the beginning of the weekend. So I want to really welcome you, Diana, back to the podcast. We've been getting so much wisdom and information from you in the past episodes. I'm really excited to have you here. So maybe you want to start by introducing yourself to those that might have not met you yet or heard our podcast before.
Sure. And thank you so much for having me on, Sharon. It's always fun. And we always have great conversations here. So I'm excited for today's as well. So I'm Diana Westley. As Sharon mentioned, I'm an astrologer. And my primary focus is on kind of our personal and collective evolution over many lifetimes. So I do a lot of work with kind of ancient mythology and the evolution of that mythology and how we're working through those stories and those ancient myths in the present time, and also kind of tap into, where our individual souls are coming from in past lifetimes, what we need to kind of heal and reconcile and release, the gold in kind of the shadows of our past lifetimes, the gifts and talents that we bring into this lifetime, and how we can leverage those and kind of maximize those as part of our evolutionary growth. And so, again, most of my work really centers around evolution, but I also do quite a bit of work with kind of the evolution of feminine archetypes. So, kind of looking at the different goddesses and feminine mythological figures and how we experience those personally using astrology, but also, again, kind of that collective evolution of the feminine over many, many, many years and many millennia. So that's kind of my work and my purpose and my calling in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love the whole goddess aspects of the astrology, and you've done a really amazing and insightful reading for me when it comes to the goddesses in my chart. I really recommend everyone to check that out. And I just sat here and thought you should make a course out of it, because it's so much to learn, and it goes so much deeper than what we know of, like the astrology that we practice in general. So I love that. And now we're coming into this new year, and I really see like this year as a growing year and as a hopefully grounding year, like moving into our body and into the earth a little bit more. And I'm really excited to hear what you've seen when you've looked at the upcoming year and upcoming months, how things will shift and what we can expect and how we can work with the energy. If we know about it, it's easier to work with and go with the flow, I think.
Yeah. So I love the way that you describe kind of the energy that you're feeling for this coming year, because that's very aligned with a big collective shift we're about to experience with that North Node moving into Taurus. So Taurus is a sign that is very embodied. I tend to think of Taurus as kind of like the ultimate earth goddess who really has a strong connection with the earth, with its seasons, with its cycles, with its beauty, with its pleasure. And so when we're working with Taurus energy, we're really kind of, both grounding divine energy that comes from out there, but also kind of pulling from the divine beauty, the kind of goddess energy, the matter that we experience as embodied figures here on earth. And so it's very much this kind of meeting place of like the heavens and earth, the archetype that can kind of bring heaven to earth. And so when we think about lots of like ancient cultures, especially ones that had practices around meditation, around presence, Taurus really embodies that archetype and calls us to find beauty and joy and peace and ease and truth in the present moment, in our experience of being these bodies, these manifestations of the divine, these manifestations of, the cosmic and celestial energies that were present at our birth, really coming back to to just the truth of why we're here, why we've incarnated, why we're embodied at this present moment. And so with the South Node in Scorpio, there's this energy of kind of reconciling and healing and releasing this feeling of chaos, of things needing to be really complex, of throwing ourselves into catastrophic events and catastrophic growth opportunities, and learning that we can actually grow and continue to evolve through simplicity, through pleasure, through beauty, through joy, through being embodied, through the present moment. And so sometimes, our growth opportunity seems kind of counterintuitive to the way we've been doing things. And Taurus is that energy. It says growth actually happens when we slow down, when we come back to the present moment. It's not about doing more. It's not about compulsively throwing ourselves into things. It's about coming back to our intention through slowing down, through finding peace and ease and inner stability. So it's a very grounding, very restorative, nourishing, regenerative energy when the North Node moves into Taurus. And there's definitely more to that we'll be working with this year. But that's kind of the high level quality of this shift we'll be experiencing next week.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, and I love that the first full moon will be also in Cancer, which is the energy that we will work with next week on our online ceremony. It's really about nurturing and connecting to our emotions and intuition, and not so much head-based. I think that can lead us deeper into our heart, and a little bit stop in yoga we always want to try to close the outer expressions and senses to go within, and we forget that. And especially I think last year it was all about what's external and what we can understand logically, and now we have to go deeper into ourselves to really ground down again, like come into balance, and to balance with the earth, which is also the mother, and it's the feminine aspect. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I love the way you put that, Sharon. Both when you talk about really coming back into our hearts, since Taurus is a sign ruled by Venus, by that love goddess, and really wants us to remember and kind of reconnect with the power of love and the power of heart-centered living. And so when we think about that South Node again in Scorpio, Scorpio is also a version of power, but sometimes Scorpio can also fall into power struggles. The ideal kind of manifestation of Scorpio energy is shared power. How can we all share the power, share the resources in a way that empowers all of us more? But the shadow side of Scorpio, which we're usually working with the South Node and kind of miring our ways through, is this feeling of disempowerment, of if this person has power, I inherently have less power. And Taurus reminds us that we all have power, and it roots from our hearts, and it roots from the present moment, and it roots from the ability to come back to center, to come back to the truth within us that's unchanging, the truth of our souls and our spirits. And so this full moon and the kind of the heart-centered quality of it also really is kind of opening our hearts to this new evolutionary cycle and phase that we're moving into. And the signs Cancer, where the full moon will be, and the sign Taurus actually have a lot in common. They're very supportive signs to one another. The moon is actually at home in the sign Cancer because both are archetypally very similar. They're both all about flowing with daily life and allowing life to unfold as it needs to, in divine timing, in the present moment. They're about flowing with our emotions and tapping into our intuition and our sensitivity, and using our sensitivity and our intuition to kind of guide us forward. The moon is exalted, or kind of finds this really happy place in the sign Taurus, because Taurus is all about emotional peace and ease and stability and safety. And it really helps us kind of marry the energy of the moon, which is the closest planetary body to Earth, the only one that revolves around Earth, thus this energy of protection that it provides. And then, it's about, Cancer is about tuning into the moon's cycles, but Taurus is about then tapping into the Earth's cycles. And so we have this very cyclical and seasonal nature that they both call us into as well. A seasonal and cyclical nature, which we really get to embrace through presence. And so there's a lot that they have in common, and it's very fitting that we have that full moon kind of illuminating and lighting the way into this new evolutionary cycle with the North Node in Taurus. So that's kind of some of the energy we'll be working with next week.
Yeah, I love that. And we can not forget that we are also we're still this week in the Venus retrograde phase, which is, as you said, ruling. So that will be affecting us, I guess, also for this upcoming full moon and shifts that's happening. How have you been experiencing this retrograde in Capricorn?
Oof. It has definitely been challenging me. It's been bringing up a lot of wounds around my worthiness, and really trusting in that worthiness, and trusting that the path that I'm on as an astrologer is one that is needed and necessary and of value, and that it will continue to be of value. There's with Capricorn, which is so a few things with Capricorn. Pluto, which is the modern ruler of this upcoming South Node in Scorpio, is also in Capricorn right now. And Venus is going to be in Capricorn when the North Node moves into Taurus. We're really working with a lot of Capricorn energy right now, rethinking the way that we work with Capricorn. And Capricorn really wants to feel secure and really wants to feel stable. And so it tends toward the status quo, toward what society deems kind of appropriate and worthy and of value, society's definitions of success, society's definitions of what kind of the proper life mission or life path looks like. And so if anyone's been feeling, you know, either like they're questioning their life path because they're adhering too much to the status quo and to what others would deem appropriate, or if you're currently pursuing a life path that's a little bit, different, like for me being an astrologer, or something where it's kind of uncharted territory in some ways, or generally just kind of outside the general, just outside that status quo, outside the thinking out of the box kind of energy, then you may be feeling some of this doubt that Venus retrograde in Capricorn can bring up. And I think that we're going to feel that throughout the rest of the year. We're really going to be rethinking and working with, what does worthiness really look like? What does true value look like? What does success actually look like, from a place of presence, from that place of inner truth, from this heart-centered place. And I say that in part because we just had a new Venus star point, which I know is something that you're really interested in, Sharon, over the weekend. And that new Venus star point happened when Venus was retrograde in Capricorn. And so this is going to be an energy we're working with through October of this year, this added energy of kind of a continued emphasis on rethinking, reevaluating, reassessing the feminine Venus, what it means to live from our hearts Venus, reassessing what abundance looks like, reassessing our connection, our relationship to the material world and to Earth in general. Kind of reclaiming our power, our authority, our worthiness, our value, and really, kind of reworking and reevaluating that energy. So with Pluto in Capricorn, with that Venus star point in Capricorn as well, and with both of these planets in Capricorn, when the nodes change signs, there's just so much emphasis on how we're working with that Capricorn energy. And actually in 2023, Pluto will finally move out of Capricorn, where it's been for many years, and into Aquarius, and it'll retrograde back into Capricorn, so it'll kind of be dipping its toe, but there is this forward momentum, this energy of this year really thinking about how we work with matter, our relationship to Mother Earth, and our experience of, again, being in these material, physical, tangible bodies, and how we want to use this incarnation, use this manifestation of our souls and our spirits to make a difference. So that's going to be a big energy that we're working with, really thinking about how we work with the earth element, how we work with the earth signs, and doing it in a way that honors and serves us individually and collectively, doing it better than we have been doing it in the past. So I think that answers your question plus some.
Yeah, that was great. That's really beautifully put. And yes, it's already happened so many like important astrological events just the first period of this year. So I'm sure that there will be a lot of other interesting things. Have you seen anything that's like for the upcoming year that's really big and really changes things on a bigger level, both collectively and individually? Probably you have, but what are the main things that you've seen that we should know? Maybe we can go in chronological order to see like what can we expect maybe from each month, or however you want to structure it.
Yeah. So just a quick note, we have Venus retrograde right now. This month, actually this week, Mercury is also going to station retrograde. And both Venus retrograde made this pass over Pluto and Capricorn, and Mercury retrograde will as well. So there is this big question of during January of what needs to die, Pluto, in order for something new to be born. And so for people who are feeling a bit like this New Year's is off to, kind of an exciting but uncertain start, having Venus retrograde, having Mercury about to station retrograde, is kind of suggesting that the new year is it's not quite ready for the big actions, that maybe we want to dive into. We're still experiencing kind of a death of the old, a reflection into the past in preparation for something new. That said, in February, Mercury stations direct, and we're going to have this conjunction between the North Node, which will now be in Taurus in February, and Sedna. And so Sedna is this Inuit goddess associated with kind of a new level of consciousness. And Sedna is actually, rounding out an Earth cycle as well right now. This is her final full year in Taurus. Next year, she'll start to make her shift into Gemini, another air sign. Pluto and Sedna will move into air signs next year. And so, again, we're getting this final review of working with Earth. What needs to change? What from the past do we need to stop clinging to? How can we kind of evolve our consciousness when it comes to working with Earth signs? And so when the North Node and Sedna come together, it's very much this on February 3rd, the same day Mercury stations direct. It's very much going to be this energy of, releasing the past, releasing those old stories with Mercury stationing direct, releasing, past wounds, past hurts, releasing the stuff as well, kind of clearing the things that clutter our lives, that keep us from that ease, simplicity, and peace in the present moment, releasing anything that's just keeping us in an old level or old way of being, an old level of consciousness. Sedna is kind of the farthest out dwarf planet that we know of in our solar system, which means she really kind of separates our solar system, what we currently know, with the greater unknown. And so she really asks us to let go of the past while not knowing what's to come. And so that's going to be a big energy that we're working with in February. Another big event that we have coming up is going to be in March. And so in March, we have the third conjunction between Venus and Pluto. So we had the first two at the end of 2021, and then on March 3rd, we're going to have this final conjunction between Venus and Pluto, which will now be the ruling planets of the North Node and the South Node. Interestingly, Mars, the planet of war, the planet of anger, the planet of motivation and courage and energy and self-assertion, will also be caught up in this Venus-Pluto conjunction. All three come together on the same day. Mars is the traditional ruler, the original ruling planet of Scorpio, where the South Node is. So we really have this wild dance happening on March 3rd between Venus, this heart-centered place, our worthiness, our abundance, our relationships, love in general. Mars, our energy, our ability to take action, but also our anger, also this energy of war. And Pluto, this god of death and the underworld and the shadows, and also of the rebirth that follows destruction, all of them coming together. And so this is going to be a really big moment for for allowing something that's been holding us back from maybe stepping into our authority, Capricorn, from stepping into our power, Pluto, something that's been holding us back from maybe taking inspired action, Mars, and kind of aligning our hearts, Venus, with the truth of our soul, aligning our hearts with the power that lies deep within us. Aligning our actions with our hearts. That's going to be a big energy for March, and it kicks off on the 3rd. Also worth noting is that for the first couple of months of the year through May, we're going to have Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion and luck, and a very spiritual planet as well. We're going to have Jupiter moving through Pisces, which is one of its home signs. Pisces was traditionally ruled by Jupiter. And so with Jupiter and Pisces, or sorry, Jupiter in Pisces, there's very much this energy of growing and expanding our compassion, our ability to love and to love unconditionally. Jupiter really wants us to kind of transcend our inner circle and expand our love, our compassion, our, you know, our generosity to a broader audience. And since Pisces is this boundless sign, our ability to love, our ability to kind of tap into the needs of the collective of the world at large, and then to take action, to do something about it, to allow ourselves to move into this very heart-centered, very loving, but very grand scale action. That's going to be something we're really working with through May of this year. Jupiter in Pisces is also a call to dream bigger, and to trust that we can fulfill our biggest, most beautiful dreams. And so at the start of this year, as we're working through some of these retrogrades as well, it's a really great opportunity to think about, what are the dreams we really want to manifest this year? And how can we kind of release some of the boundaries and limits, Capricorn, so that we can expand into these bigger dreams and achieve something different. Sometimes Capricorn energy has us, kind of stuck in the past. And, it's that idea that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Jupiter in Pisces says it's time to stop doing the same thing over and over, to dream into something new, to trust that things can be different, to have a vision of a new path and a new way forward, and then kind of trust in the divine timing, trust that we'll intuitively know what actions we need to take when the timing is right to take those actions, and so on. Forgiveness is also a big hallmark of working with Jupiter and Pisces. If our hearts, that Venus, that ruling planet of the North Node in Taurus, if our hearts are weighing heavy because we're holding on to past hurts, wounds, grudges, because we haven't been able to forgive others, but especially if we haven't been able to forgive ourselves, Jupiter in Pisces really helps us kind of break free from that unforgiveness. It allows us to forgive so that we can move forward. And so that's, again, a big energy we'll be working with through May of this year. In May, or actually it's in April, apologies. In April, we're going to be having this big conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune. So Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. They're both in Pisces right now. And so in April, there's going to be this coming together of these two planets in their home sign, which again is going to be a really great opportunity for any work around forgiveness, dreaming bigger, kind of maybe starting to initiate initiate action, or at the very least, really set intentions around the dreams that we have, around this expansive, limitless energy that these two planets bring to us. Jupiter in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, we're called to be by the water. Maybe we're encouraged to travel and expand our horizons and our compassion through traveling, through connecting with people from different cultures. It's a great time for doing inner work and inner travel as well, to kind of do the work of healing, releasing unforgiveness, and so on. And then in May, Jupiter will move into Aries. And the beauty of this pairing of Jupiter in Pisces and Jupiter in Aries is that Jupiter in Pisces invites us to do the dreaming, to envision something new and better. And Jupiter in Aries is ready to take action and to courageously move forward from this place of spirit, from this place of inner knowing, from this place of truth. And so Jupiter will be in Aries for most of the rest of the year, dipping back into Pisces temporarily at the end of 2022. But again, this kind of beautiful pairing of the ability to dream bigger, transcend previous limits, and kind of the courage and the chutzpah and the fire to go after it with Aries. I'm going to pause there before I move into kind of the second part of the year. Do you have any questions, reflections on what I've shared so far, Sharon, or things to add, since I've been talking a lot?
Yeah, that was so much great information and so many things happening. I think it's really interesting, everything. I've been taking notes and I see that it feels like we have a lot of, like you said from the beginning, like a lot of this earth energy, but I just love this whole Jupiter and Neptune together and the Piscean energy. And what's interesting now, we're talking about the south and north node in this axis, but soon, not too far away from now, we will have I wonder what's going to happen when we have the north node in Pisces, because we already see so much spiritual and intuitive and healing work, and imagine how that's going to be for the collective. Maybe that's when the true healing comes. So I really like I also love that Jupiter in Pisces is about like this unconditional forgiveness, and it's so healing in so many ways and expansive. So I think that these upcoming months are really great. And I agree with you that it's been like this energy that's been holding us back a little bit. We're only about a week into the year, but it's really felt that we're not starting like so energetically and with so much energy right now, because we still have some things to integrate and review before we can completely like come into something new. So I'm really curious how that's going to be. And as we said, so much has happened already. So I'm really curious about the rest of the months and how that's going to look. And especially we've been working a lot with eclipses, so how that looks moving forward with the new nodes, I think is interesting.
Yeah. Oh gosh, so much to say there. So when you bring up that Pisces energy, Sharon, the cool thing is that Jupiter moving through Pisces is kind of encouraging our expansion with that Pisces energy, greater compassion, opening our hearts, expanding our horizons. But in 2023, what it's kind of preparing us for is Saturn moving into Pisces. And so Saturn is where we really build new foundations. So Jupiter is saying we need to dream bigger. We need to see things in new and different ways. We need to broaden our perspective. We need to get that eagle's eye perspective on things in order to truly change the world. And Jupiter believes that we can change the world in Pisces. And then Saturn comes along to kind of solidify all of that, to build new foundations, to start kind of the work of building a new world, a new way forward. And it really will help us, if certain parts of this year feel almost over expansive, or like we're taking a lot of action but we don't fully know how it all comes together yet, then when Saturn moves into Pisces, it's really going to help us, again, kind of solidify or make everything that we're doing this year kind of more tangible. And we do have a lot of earth energy this year supporting that process of manifestation, but I think Saturn moving into Pisces is going to be a big part of that as well. With regards to the rest of the year, there's a big kind of conjunction that we'll be working with. So earlier you talked about kind of this feeling of lots of change coming, and starting in June, but finalizing or kind of forming a true conjunction in July. We're going to have this coming together, this conjunction of the North Node and Uranus, which has been in Taurus for a while. But for the rest of the year, pretty much, starting in June and kind of becoming exact in July, we're going to have Uranus and the North Node moving together. And so Uranus is this planet of change, of disruption, of liberation ultimately. And so the reason Uranus brings this kind of energy of change, of disruption, of expect the unexpected into our lives is because it wants to liberate us from expectation. It wants to liberate us from past wounds, past traumas, old stories, old beliefs, any fake or false personas or facades that we have kind of held onto because we think they keep us safe or loved or valued, whatever that may be. Uranus says it's time to let your authentic self out. We're gonna kind of force the removal of all false personas if it's not something that we actively choose to do, through kind of upsetting or sudden events. Uranus can also manifest as just insights that come to us from out of the blue, visions. And so when we're thinking about working with this Pisces energy, and then we have Uranus and the North Node coming together, this is a year where we have so much access to kind of higher wisdom, higher knowledge, these insights, this intuitive knowing, that comes from out there, somewhere out there in the cosmos, that comes from the earth, by connecting with the earth, spending time in nature, noticing its seasons, its cycles, and kind of, garnering messages and information from nature, but also from our inner knowing, something deep within us, this ancestral, this ancient wisdom that we all house in our souls. Information is coming to us from all of these places, and it's very much a year of allowing our intuitive selves, allowing, maybe kind of things that feel a little bit illogical to come in and enter our lives and enter the picture, because it's part of this rebirth, it's part of this change, that we're working toward right now. And so that's going to be a big energy with, again, Uranus and the North Node coming together and spending pretty much the rest of the year together. Generally speaking, with eclipses for this year, there is going to be, the themes will all be around Taurus. We actually had an eclipse in the fall, with a full moon in Taurus, and so that was a lunar eclipse. And then this year we're going to have a series of eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio as well. And so the really interesting thing, actually, taking a quick step back, is that when we look at the ruling planets of some of the key planetary placements in this nodal equation, we have that south node ruler, Pluto in Capricorn. So Pluto in Capricorn ultimately reports to Saturn, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn's in Aquarius this year, which ultimately reports to Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus this year. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So the south node ruler, um, that Pluto in Capricorn energy ultimately reports back to Venus, which is the north node ruler. And so when we're thinking about eclipses in these two signs, when we're thinking about working with this energy in general, there's this quality of, always coming back to the heart, always coming back to love, always choosing love as the answer, as we're navigating the shadows, as we're navigating maybe crisis or chaos or things falling apart, which can happen when we're working with that south node in Scorpio energy, when we're working with Pluto in Capricorn, that's kind of calling for a death of some old structures, of some old ways of life, always coming back to our hearts, always leaning on what Venus is doing in our personal birth charts, in the skies, but love is always the answer with Venus. Beauty is always the answer with Venus, looking for the beauty in things, coming back to our hearts. And so with the eclipses this year, they'll be happening around Taurus season and Scorpio season. So in that kind of April, May timeframe, and then in October, November. And so this will be two times during the year where we really feel these energies in a powerful way, where we're really called to, again, be re-evaluating and reassessing and reworking the way that we work with the feminine, that we work with earth, that we work with our seasons and cycles, that we work with kind of the slowness of life, the slowness of being in a physical body. Maybe our souls and our spirits want to move a lot more quickly, but ultimately we have to kind of answer back to our bodies, treat them like sacred vessels, take care of them, or we burn out, we get sick, we experience that south node in Scorpio crisis. And so really, really taking care of ourselves and our bodies during these eclipse seasons is going to be really key. Self-care, self-love, big themes with Taurus, nourishing our bodies with good food, really getting to know what food your body needs to be happy and healthy. So again, with Pluto in Capricorn, that south node ruler in Capricorn, it's really easy to kind of fall into a pattern of what do the authorities have to say on what's good for my body, versus what do I truly know is good for my unique individual body, working with that Taurus energy. So maybe eating, a raw salad every day works for a lot of people and is healthy for them, but it's not healthy for everyone. Maybe for some people it creates indigestion, or even thyroid issues. So kind of getting to know your body, coming back to your body is really key. Same with when we think about like exercise. Taurus asks us to kind of slow down our exercise, to really tap into what it is that our bodies need, what kind of movement they're asking for. Whereas that Scorpio south node energy can ask us to get really compulsive with our bodies, to get compulsive with our exercise routines. Taurus says, slow down, come back to the present moment, notice what it is you need. And so especially around these eclipses, really coming back to our bodies, our individual unique bodies, honoring their needs, and kind of leaving some of the traditional wisdom or the prevailing wisdom, leaving that for another time. Right now it's all about us and what we need on an individual level. One other big thing we have happening toward the end of the year is, starting on October 28th, Mars will be retrograde in Gemini. And since Mars is the traditional ruler of that south node in Scorpio, there's very much this south node, this karmic energy that we'll be working with that Mars retrograde this year. And so we start the year with Venus retrograde, with the north node ruler retrograde. And so we're really reassessing and reflecting upon the way we work with the feminine. And then we end the year with Mars retrograde. And that's a reassessment of the way we work with the masculine energy. It's very much an energy of releasing old stories that keep us at war. And keep us from a place of being able to enter into kind of more love, more peace, more harmony, more togetherness. There's also an energy of kind of releasing old stories, old beliefs, old blockages that keep us from stepping into our fire, that keep us from our passion. We need relationships, Venus, in order to continue growing and deepening our experience of love. But Mars is also this energy of individuation. We also need to know who we are as individuals, kind of a complementary energy to Taurus, which is a very self-contained sign. It knows that it needs to start with itself, with loving itself, with caring for itself before it can bring that love and care to others. It needs its own body to be cared for before it can nourish and care for the bodies of others. And so with Mars retrograde, it asks us as well, where do we need to have a little bit more self-focus, a little bit more self-regard, and where have we overdone it in that respect? In Gemini, there's an energy of needing to kind of free our voices, to take a stand for change. It's an energy of reassessing our motivations and any thoughts that drive our actions. And so Gemini is this very mercurial, mind-centered sign. And so with Mars retrograde in Gemini, it's very much an energy of releasing old stories. It's very much an energy of noticing how our thoughts drive our actions, how our thoughts create our reality. And again, because Mars is linked to the South Node, there's going to be an energy of kind of coming up against shadows and having to courageously confront those, noticing where our actions are linked to karmic patterns, and where we're kind of caught in this karmic loop where we're taking action, but it's just leading us back to the same place. And so with Mars retrograde, sometimes we have to take a step back. We have to cease action for a moment to really realign our actions and our forward momentum with something new, something different, versus getting caught again in karmic cycles, karmic loops, as represented by that South Node energy. So I know that's kind of a lot of information and a lot to think about, and maybe quite a bit to digest. But those are some of the big energies that we'll be working with the eclipses, with kind of the remainder of this year as well.
That was so much great information, and it gives a really good overview. And I think that a lot of the listeners can come back to this in a few months or weeks to listen to it again and get some updates, because it's so many big things happening, and it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out in our life, and also on a collective level in the earth, on the earth and in the world. So really interesting. And that's why we're also, I mean, like you said, the moon is revolving around the earth. It's very like tangible for us. We see its cycles, and both me and you love to work with the moon. So it feels so good to have this time to really connect with the very first full moon. It's really like giving us light to see things more clearly and to connect with, I think all of us need to connect with our yin energy, our divine feminine. And in this ceremony ritual, we also connect with how we work with our inner cycles with the moon, which is something that we can do like all year and for the rest of our lives. So I think that that's something that I'm really passionate about. And with this full moon in Cancer, it's really relevant to work with the cosmic womb and our own inner energetic and physical womb, which is our creativity and our ability to give birth to new things and new projects and to a new life. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you on next Monday, so the 17th of January. It will be 8 p.m. Central European time, which is 7 p.m. UK time, and it's 2 p.m. in East Coast of the US, and that would be 11 a.m. your time on the West Coast. So and then we have so many other time zones, but I hope that everyone can adjust to their time zone. And we, in many of our online ceremonies and rituals and meditations, there's so many people that are not able to join due to the time, but we're always recording the session, and even those that are joining live will receive the recording to redo the meditation, redo the practices that we will be sharing. So I think that everyone can in some way join in if you really want to start this year with really tuning in and really working with your emotional body, your intuition, your own sense of nurturing and mothering yourself, and also the earth and all of these beautiful aspects. Yeah, so the early bird price is available until the 14th, so on Friday. So if you feel like you're called to join us, you can just click the link in the show notes. Visit lovepositivism.com and northnodecoach.com, right, Diana?
Yes.
Your website, yeah. Do you have anything else to add, Diana?
No, I just really hope that folks join us if they're feeling like they could use some nurturing, some support, some togetherness and community as we work with this full moon and enter into this new year. The moon in Cancer is a really wonderful energy for kind of coming together, especially for women coming together, but really for all people who need to tap into more self-acceptance, more presence, who are hoping to kind of nurture and nourish themselves this year, and maybe tap into more flow as well, really kind of connecting with their own personal flow, the universal flow, and so on. And so if you're kind of feeling into these energies, if you could use some support, kind of some tools, exercises, practice, prayers, whatever that may look like, then we hope that you'll join us. And thank you so much, Sharon, for having me on again today. It's always a pleasure, and I hope people enjoyed what we had to share.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us all of your knowledge and everything that's coming up. Like, you've given all of us so many great tools to work with. So I'm really excited to share this and share our online ceremony circle. As you said, it's a beautiful time to bond and to also have sharings with others and to heal together. So thank you so much again, Diana.
Of course.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care, Sharon. Take care, everyone.